you are trying to become stronger, more relentless. But here is the cold truth. You are bleeding to death without even knowing it. Yet, do not scroll past this. Hit subscribe, because this video is not motivation. It is a surgical operation designed to seal the 10 leaks that are killing you every single day. Where's Tordy's time? Look back at the last few years. You worked brutally hard. You read. You trained. You learned new skills. You believed in the logic of addition. More effort, more time, more discipline. So why are you still exhausted? Still disrespected? Still trapped? Because you were wrong about the core principle. You cannot fill a bucket that is full of holes. It does not matter how much you pour in. If the system leaks, everything drains out. The people you admire are not powerful because they have more. They are powerful because they eliminated more. They cut the noise. They locked down weakness. They sealed the fractures. They did not rush to build. They secured the architecture first. And when they finally poured in effort, everything stayed and multiplied. But there is a ruthless law Machiavelli understood well. Transformation must happen in silence. Weak people, the moment they decide to change, always announce it. They post it. They declare it. They warn the world. And then they get dragged back down. The parasites feeding on your weakness will resist. The failures around you will pull you back into your old identity. You create a war that never needed to exist. People with real power do not do that. They do not speak. They become, quietly, without a trace, a phantom purge. And by the time others realize what happened, the door to interference has already been sealed shut. This video is a cold operation. 10 leaks, 10 weaknesses, and how to execute them in silence. No. When this ends, you will no longer be an easy target to penetrate. You will be a closed system. But there is only one rule. Tell no one. Execute in the dark. The first leak, and the most common among those trapped in a victim mindset. The compulsion to explain and justify. You explain constantly. Someone questions your decision, and you immediately flood them with reasons. A single doubtful glance, and pressure rises in your chest to make them understand. You've been programmed, like a creature that requires approval, always explaining, so others feel comfortable with your choices. But carve this into your mind. Every explanation is a leak of power. The moment you start explaining, you drop from a position of control into defense. You hand them data, so they can argue against you. You give them tools to dissect you. And worse, you send a signal. I need your approval. The second they feel that, the leverage is no longer yours. You are no longer the one deciding. You become the defendant. Standing in a courtroom you built yourself, and you handed them the gavel. Predators don't do this. So how do you cut it out? First, replace explanation with controlled silence. Not awkward silence. Not weak silence. Strategic silence. When questioned, pause. Hold eye contact. Answer only what is necessary. Nothing more. Second, speak in decisions, not justifications. Not, I did this because, but, this is what I chose. No excess, no emotional leakage, No invitation for debate. Third, accept the discomfort. People will misunderstand you. They will judge you. They will project their own limits onto you. Asa. Good. Let them. Because the moment you stop explaining, you stop performing. And the moment you stop performing, you become untouchable. Cut the need to be understood, and you remove the leash they've been holding your entire life. Not a declaration, not a post, not "I will stop explaining." Because even that is just another form of explanation. Instead, stop when someone asks why. Hold your gaze. No rush, no retreat. You can say, "Because I chose to." Or say nothing, just a faint smile, and shift the subject. You are no longer responsible for being understood. At first, they will resist. They will push harder, because they are used to feeding on your explanations. But then, they hit a wall. No emotion, no reaction, no opening. No, Mr. Cao. And they retreat. Me nastium, as Niccolo Machiavelli once wrote. Men should either be treated generously or destroyed, for they will avenge slight injuries, but cannot avenge severe ones. The loud man who refuses to explain gets attacked. The silent man who simply stops becomes an enigma. And people always fear what they cannot read. Carve this below in the comments. My silence is my answer. I refuse to stand trial. The second leak, the one quietly eroding your value every single day. Total availability. You are too accessible, too easy to reach, too easy to summon. Anyone can take your time. A message vibrates, you respond instantly. An invitation appears. You agree without friction. You bend your schedule to fit the needs of others. And then you wonder why they don't respect you. Because you violated the most fundamental law of power. What is scarce holds value. What is always available becomes cheap. The easier it is to access you, the less you are worth. Ask yourself this. The people you truly respect, are they always online? Always replying within seconds? No. They are the ones whose time carries weight. You must earn a fraction of their attention. In contrast, those who are always present slowly become background noise, taken for granted. And that is exactly how people see you now. It is time to tighten your supply. But remember, no announcements, no explanations, no, "I've been busy lately." Namak, you simply become scarce in silence. You respond slower, not as a game, but because your focus is locked on something higher. You decline more, not out of attitude, but because your time has a price. You stop being a convenience. You become a decision. And here is what happens next. At first, confusion, then resistance, then recalibration. People adjust to the new version of you. Because when access is no longer guaranteed, attention becomes earned. And when attention must be earned, respect follows. Control your availability. Control your value. You create a delay between their demand and your response. That delay is power. The rest, their mind will handle on its own. When you become harder to reach, they don't see arrogance. They convince themselves you are doing something bigger, something more important, something not easily touched, missed. And in that silence, your value rises. No persuasion, no proof, only scarcity. That is the kind of dark leverage most people will never understand. Write this down. My time is gold. I create value through scarcity. We now enter a kill zone, where most people destroy themselves without ever realizing it. Emotional leakage. Imagine you are a fortress, and your emotions are the map exposing the weakest points in your walls. Why, a sarcastic remark. Your face shifts. An uncomfortable situation. Irritation leaks out. A compliment, you spike into visible excitement. Then, every reaction you reveal is a piece of data you hand over. In the game of power, information is weaponry. The moment others learn what hurts you, what destabilizes you, they gain access to your neural control panel. You are no longer in command. You become a system being operated. Press the right button. You react. You lose focus. You sabotage yourself. You are distributing for free the blueprint of your own destruction. As Niccolo Machiavelli warned, never let emotion outrank reason. Reason is difficult to manipulate. Emotion is not. So how do you seal this leak? Not blind suppression, not becoming numb, but mastering a technique so simple. Almost no one practices it. The pause. When a stimulus hits, an insult, a tense situation, do not react instantly. Stop. Let the information enter. Process it in silence. And then, you decide what gets broadcasted. Not a reflex, a decision. You do not need to become lifeless. You simply express what serves your objective. If coldness is required, you remain cold. If strength is required, you project strength. If anger is required, you can perform it. But internally, your heartbeat does not spike. Your mind does not drift. When you become a still lake, manipulators will throw stones. No ripple, no reaction, no data. Lest, and that is the moment, they begin to fear you because they can no longer read you. Carve this into your mind. My emotions are a sealed fortress. My mind is the ruler. The fourth leak, the one that silently kills your value, often disguised as being a good person, giving away intelligence for free. You see patterns faster. You spot solutions before others. Someone struggles, you jump in to fix it. Someone asks for strategy, you hand it over, as if it costs nothing. Here is the cold truth. Your intelligence is a finite resource, and it is expensive every time you give strategic advice to someone who doesn't value it, or worse, to someone who will use it to outpace you. You are being exploited. Me. Think back. How many times have you burned energy, solving problems for people who never even said thank you? How many times have your ideas generated money, just not for you? Power does not operate as a charity of the mind. From this moment, lock your vault, silently. No announcement. When someone complains about their problem, you listen, you nod, and you offer no solution. If they ask directly, do not answer immediately. Push them into effort. What have you tried so far? If they haven't invested thought, they don't deserve your strategy. If your knowledge can generate money or power, then there must be an exchange. Not always money, but always value for value, favor for favor, influence for influence. You are not stingy. You are selective. And the moment you stop giving it away for free, every word you speak gains weight. People begin to realize it's not just talk. It's gold. Niccolò Machiavelli did not preach kindness. He studied effectiveness. In this game, what is not priced gets consumed until nothing remains. Carve this in. My intelligence is not charity. All value has a cost. Now, this is real surgery. Not comfortable, not gentle, but necessary. Eliminating safe friendships. You have relationships where the cost of maintaining them far exceeds the value they return. People you've known for years. People who make you feel comfortable, but never push you forward. They don't build you. They drain you. You keep them out of habit, out of memory, out of a false sense of safety. Nista. But here's the cold truth. They contribute nothing to your power, your growth, your mission. Every hour you sit listening to their complaints is an hour stolen from your future. Every emotional investment you pour into them is blood drained from your ambition. This is not loyalty. This is avoidance. You are not afraid of losing them. You are afraid of facing isolation. And that fear is what has been holding you in place. So how do you cut it? No long conversations, no "we're growing apart" messages, no explanations, no drama. You don't create an explosion. You apply a simple, cold strategy. Silent fading. You fade out, you respond slower, you show up less. You stop initiating. Your refusals, polite, but distant. You don't kill the relationship. You simply stop feeding it. And when there is no more energy, it dies on its own. No conflict, no accusations, no narrative for them to hold on to. By the time they realize, you are already too far, too different, too elevated. Niccolò Machiavelli never taught you to preserve everything. He taught you to remove what weakens you. In this game, not everyone who has been there long deserves to stay. Carve this into your code. I cleanse my circle in silence. Stillness is my farewell. We are living in an era where exhaustion is performed. Hustle culture has become a badge of honor. You post at 2 a.m. You narrate sleepless nights. You wear fatigue like a trophy. But in the world of cold power, visible effort is a fatal weakness. The moment you show the world you are struggling, you expose your state. Your rivals see it. They know you're nearing your limit. Opportunists see it. They can smell the weakness. Like vultures, they don't strike when the prey is strong. They wait until you are exhausted. Not stir. Your noise, your public struggle, is an invitation to the hunt. Observe those who truly hold power. They don't explain. They don't complain. They don't broadcast the process. Their results appear as if from nowhere. And that mystery is what makes others hesitate. You must become a paradox, like a duck on water. On the surface, calm, stable, unhurried, numb up. Underneath, violent motion, unseen. You don't need to prove you are working. You only need to become undeniable when results arrive. Stop posting the process. Stop narrating your struggle. Fight in the dark. Bleed in silence. And when you step into the light, step out with something that leaves them unable to respond. No explanations. No warnings. Only results. As Niccolo Machiavelli observed, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. If you appear effortless, in their minds, you become unpredictable. And what cannot be predicted is always dangerous. Least carve this in. I grind in the dark. I let results speak. If there is one sound that destroys you the fastest, it is not external noise. It is complaining. You complain about your job, your circumstances, the people who treated you unfairly. Every word that leaves your mouth is a signal you broadcast. I am not in control of my life. Even if you are right, even if the world is truly unfair. The moment you complain, you place yourself beneath the situation. And in the real world, weakness does not attract sympathy. It attracts predators. They will push you deeper. They will exploit you. They will approach under the mask of help and set traps. And others like you will gather, not to lift you up, but to sink together. A herd of helplessness. So how do those with power operate? A brutal law. Fix it or leave. Don't complain. No explanations, no emotional monologues, no audience. If your job is a landfill, you quietly prepare your exit. If a relationship is toxic, you withdraw, clean, precise, no trace. You replace noise with action. Those who do not complain are not always liked. But they possess something the masses never will: absolute respect. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach you to cry for rescue. He taught you to hold position, and position never coexists with complaint. Or carve this into your code. I do not complain. I act or I leave in silence. This leak is why people keep crossing your line. Your standards are too soft. You set boundaries, but under pressure, you retreat. You say no, but when they push, you fold. And in that moment, you teach them a dangerous lesson. Push harder, I will break. From that point on, they stop respecting your limits. They test, they pressure, they advance inch by inch, until there is nothing left to defend. Here is the cold truth. Boundaries are not destroyed in one moment. They are eroded every time you compromise. So how do you seal it? Not with declarations, not with explanations. No need to prove anything. You turn your standard into a concrete wall. Okay, when someone touches your boundary, you do not move. No argument, no justification. You stand still and let them collide. You cannot negotiate with a wall. You can only stop in front of it. The first time, they will test you. The second time, they will push harder. But when every attempt meets silence, they understand, not through words, but through impact. And that is how respect is created, not through promises, but through unshakable consistency. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach you to talk more. He taught you to hold position through action, because in this game, a boundary that is not enforced is not a boundary at all. Carve this into your code. My standards are concrete. No debate, no retreat. This is one of the most lethal mistakes a strategist can make. A loose mouth. You talk about your plans. You reveal your fears. You share your next move. You think it's connection, but in reality, it's leakage. Every piece of information you release is a bullet. You load for someone else. The moment you announce your plan, you kill surprise. Your rivals gain time to prepare. The envious gain time to interfere. You haven't even moved, but the traps are already set. The truth is simple. In this game, who controls information controls the game. As Niccolo Machiavelli understood early, the one who leaks is always controlled by the one who collects. So what is the solution? Not becoming overly mysterious, not acting dangerous. The real strategy is more refined. Camouflage through boredom. When someone asks what you're doing, you answer. Same as always. Nothing new, no details, no expansion, no hooks for curiosity. Theme. You shift the subject. You keep the surface flat, uninteresting, not worth digging into. You don't fight their curiosity. You let it die. And while they think you're standing still, you are moving. Quietly. Precisely. Without a trace. You become a vault that no one realizes is a vault. And by the time they notice, it's too late. You've already moved too far to be stopped. I could carve this into your code. I am an invisible vault. Every move stays in the dark. And now, we reach the core. Not the symptom, but the source. The hunger for validation. Right? Look at it directly. Every decision you make passes through a toxic filter. What will they think? You crave the gaze, the praise, the applause, just to feel real. This is the root. Because of it, you explain. You stay available. You broadcast your effort. As long as you need external approval, you are still being controlled, not by one person, but by the crowd. You become a puppet, triggered by the right signal. Here is the coldest truth. Your greatest battle is not with the world. It is with your own need to be accepted. You must learn self-authorization. When you complete something, don't turn around and ask, "Is this good?" Ask something far more ruthless. Does this meet my standard? If yes, it ends there. No opinions. No validation. Evo Barina Malvidodristum. You build an internal system of judgment. Solid. Closed. Impenetrable. A fortress no praise can buy. No criticism can break. Niccolo Machiavelli never taught you to please others. He taught you to hold power over yourself. And real power begins the moment you no longer need to be seen. when you are no longer hungry for approval, you become the most dangerous form of existence. Unbuyable by praise, unshakable by criticism. You stand alone, but no longer weak. Carve this into your code. I am my own highest court. I crown myself. Now, you've seen every leak. But carve in the only law that matters. Silence. No announcements, no sharing, no trace. Tomorrow, pick one leak. Seal it quietly. No one knows. No one needs to. Next week, seal the next. Slow, precise, cold, piece by piece, the bleeding stops. Energy no longer escapes. It accumulates. Inside you, something begins to form. Not loud, but the pressure keeps rising like a compressed core, waiting. After a few months, everything outside looks the same, but you are not. Your gaze changes, your response time changes, your presence carries weight. People will notice, not through what you say, but through what you no longer react to. They'll ask, what happened to you? And what will you do? You just smile, no explanation. No story, no system revealed. Because the moment they realize you've changed, the game is already over. The window for interference has already closed. Forever. They had their chance. When you still explained. When you still complained. When you still needed approval. But you cut it all in silence. Niccolo Machiavelli never taught you to talk about power. He taught you to become power without speaking. And that is the moment. You are no longer playing by their rules. You become the rule. Power is not built by adding more. It is built by cutting away. You cannot fill a system that is leaking. You can only seal it, remove what weakens you, and what remains will grow on its own. The version of you from 30 minutes ago is dead. Naive, reactive, hungry for approval. If you leave here and return to old patterns, complaining, explaining, pleasing, then don't ask why you're still controlled. You chose that. But if you are ready, not to become better, but to become unmanipulatable, then this is only the beginning. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications, because this is just the initiation. What comes next will be colder, deeper, more ruthless. Niccolo Machiavelli did not teach you to be likable. He taught you to be effective. And effectiveness does not care about feelings. Before you leave an oath. Not for me, for yourself. I eliminate weakness. I am a closed system. Step out. Mouth sealed, eyes cold, actions precise. Begin the purge. See you in the next lesson.